when I first got the chance to do it, I was like, yes, dragons all the time, please. And it's just been the most incredible. Like I realized, 2 books in, that I'm like, I get to like draw my own action adventure movie basically, but it's not mine, obviously. Like it's Tui's and everybody else that works on these books, and yeah, it is better than I ever would have imagined in my life to do. Yeah,
that is a great answer.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Can you tell us how you came to be the illustrator for the graphic novels? How did that happen?
Well, I handed somebody a big check, and then no. No, I tested out. I auditioned. I've been working on comics for about 20 years, and I've been doing these other series. And I have an agent, and she said, "Would you like to try out for the series Wings of Fire?" And she's like, "It is all dragons." And I'm like, I can do that. I can do that. So I auditioned. I drew all of the main characters, all the 5 prophecy dragons, and everybody else. I did Scarlet, and I handed it in, just kind of going, please pick me. And they came back and they asked me to like make a few changes, and I was like, absolutely, whatever you want. And I got the job.
It's quite an honor, isn't it, to be the person that brings it to life?
I mean, even then it felt like a great honor, but just looking out right now and being a part of Fanwing Fest and seeing how everybody is so involved and so into this, and I'm like, good, I'm not the only one.
Right.
The honor doesn't begin to describe it. It's so cool. It's
That's
so
really
cool.
great.
Yeah.
What's your question?
Yeah. Oh, okay.
How did you make Whirlpool look so handsome?
Well, I understand.
You gotta tell us, the people need to know. We're on the edge of our seats.
All right, so I kept a picture of Timothy Chalamet right next to my drink. I didn't mean to, because Whirlpool's not the nicest guy in the world. But
he's handsome, that's for sure.
He's handsome.
The people have spoken.
Yeah.
So, what has it been like to bring the Wings of Fire world to life?
Like I said, it's been incredible. I've never in my career had a chance to obviously Joy Yang, who created the covers and did most of the art before I came in, there was no way I was going to touch anything she had done, right? So I'm like, all right, I gotta follow this, but kind of go my own way. And just to get to do the environments, the rainforest, and kind of try to see it through not only my eyes, but of the eyes of the readers, and hopefully giving them the thing that they would hope to see.
Right.
It's been a big challenge, and I take it very seriously.
Oh, it's very serious,
but
yeah.
It's incredible to be able to just kind of help build this world,
When you build the world, how much does Tui have a say? Do you work with her closely in finding the designs and getting everything right?
Surprisingly, no. There's a lot of people, because the world was so well defined before I even came along, that when I did it, I auditioned and I tried out did these characters. We went through that phase kind of early on, where they saw what I was capable of and they understood. And I'll get notes back from Tui at the end of whenever I hand in a book. And she'll say, oh, I think this character maybe shouldn't look so angry here, or I think maybe this character, could be, happier. I guess I draw dragons angry all the time. But I try not to. Yeah, it's funny. Tui is such an incredible collaborator. And she's just kind of let me do my thing. And if she has something to say, she will absolutely let me know. But the first note I ever got from her face-to-face was actually last night at dinner. I'm working on the cover for Talents of Power right now.
Oh.
And there was a...
It's exciting. How's it coming along?
Well, the book is done. I handed in all the art, so we're just working on notes, and I'm working on the cover right now. But I had a pose for Turtle that I thought might have worked, and she was like, Turtle wouldn't quite do that. Could you make Turtle look a little different? And I'm like, yes, of course, whatever you want. And so we just sat across the table from each other last night, and I was like, how's this? And she's like, that's good. And I'm like, this is the first time we've ever actually, done this in person.
That's really cool.
And it was really nice. But everybody who works on these books has just been so welcoming and so incredibly collaborative. And I feel like, I'm home with this series.
That is awesome. Is there a favorite cover or setting or theme that you like the most when you're creating these pieces of art?
I always like drawing the rainforest. I kind of always gravitate toward the rainwings because I also like naps.
Who does?
I know. Although that's the stereotype. They're not
That's
just
true.
about
That's
nature.
true.
Yeah, I love drawing the rainforest because you can kind of populate it with just all these different kinds of like flora and fauna, flowers and fruits and trees, and it's just really cool to kind of get in there and feel.
Absolutely.
It's almost like, I want to feel like I'm standing in the middle of a rainforest surrounded by all of this stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Has there ever been a setting or a dragon or even a moment, like a scene that's been really challenging for you to bring to life?
There's been a couple,
Really?
and you just kind of push forward, and the trick is to always, if I was like to come up with one, there's a scene at the end of, and I hope I'm not spoiling anything. We've all read the books, more or less? Okay, good. So I figured as much with this crap. It's at the end of book 4. It's the end of book 4 where the volcano explodes. And
Wait, a volcano explodes?
yeah. Sorry, now.
Just like
Sorry, we sent you the books.
that's right. But that was challenging.
Yeah, with Moros here is kind of like watching the volcano explode behind him, and I drew that like 4 or 5 times because I just had to capture that moment of like he had this like real. He's always been very like full of himself, and he thinks he knows more than everybody else. And then suddenly he's like got them trapped, and he thinks he's got the upper hand, and then nature just has its own idea of what's happening behind him, and the volcano explodes, and he's like, oh no. And that, to me, I needed to capture his like finally feeling like he was at the mercy of something else, and so I really wanted to get that across.
Well, I think we can all agree that you did a really excellent job at capturing that moment and capturing that energy.
Thank you.
So, with being here at Wings of Fire, I saw you walking around out there. And I know you've done events similar to this before. Can you remember a time that has been your favorite interaction with a Wings of Fire fan?
I can, and I can also say that they are here today.
Ooh, is
and
it today?
Everybody, well, not the interaction was not today. It was
Okay.
actually last month. And when there was somebody walking around in a peril costume who came up here, and the crowd obviously like went nuts. And I felt the exact same way. I was doing a signing last week in Charlottesville, or last month in Charlottesville, and they came up and introduced themselves, and I was just sitting there like with my mouth open, like, what are you doing? It was so cool.
It's so
Yeah.
impressive the amount of work that goes
Yeah.
into these costumes, and everybody has their own spin on it, and the OCs and everything. It's very impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
So, as someone who grew up with a passion for art, clearly you're doing really well. Was there any fandom or show or anything that caused you to make fan art? Maybe back in early days of your career?
Oh, how much time do you have? Like, when I was a kid, I was the kid who drew for the other kids, like in
Okay.
5th grade. So if you wanted Garfield, I'd do a great Garfield for you. Or Ninja Turtle. Or,
Really?
Oh yeah, just Power Rangers, like whatever you wanted. I do my best to get it out there. And eventually I was like, I think I should be getting paid for this. No offense, guys, but yeah. So there was always something about the stuff that I watched when I was a kid, and even the stuff that I watched and experienced and read and listen to now that informs what I do. There's an energy that comes off of it that has stayed with me my entire life. So whether it's reading stuff like. I used to really like Hellboy because of like the artwork in Hellboy.
Right.
The artwork was so great. So I would do like artwork of that, or Mario, or Last Airbender, stuff like that. It's just like really. It is you, Mario.
Did you ever feel like dragons were going to be a big staple of your career?
Not for a second.
Wow.
Yeah, no, you absolutely. I was quite surprised when this all happened, but again, I'm very, very happy that I get to feel feelings through these characters.
Right.
I think Tui said it before, and I definitely feel like this with each book. The focus is on a different character, and with every character, I see a part of myself in these characters,
Right.
like in the main characters. So if it's somebody like Starflight or if it's somebody like Glory, I find what it is about that character that exists in me, and I try to bring that out.
Is there a character you relate to the most?
That's a big question, but I think if we're coming down to it, I think Moonwatcher is the one that I have related to the most.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Not Whirlpool, no. I'm going to say not Whirlpool. Good. Yeah.
So, do you have any advice for somebody who might be in this room right now that wants to follow a similar career path to you as an illustrator?
I'd say if you have any amount of confidence in what you're doing, If you draw a picture, doesn't matter if you show it to somebody and they say it's good, if you yourself look at it and you say, that's a good drawing right there, you ride that feeling into the next drawing. And if there's something about that drawing that you're not entirely happy with, which just happens to every artist, that's okay. Most people will not see that. What you do is you take that part of the feeling and you bring it to the next drawing. And you say, okay, well, the thing that I didn't like about that last drawing, it's all right. I'm going to try to see if I can do a little better next time. But the most important thing is to enjoy the good feeling that the drawing gave you. And if you do that, you're going to want to do it every day. It's this thing that's just got to come out of you. And if you end up doing it every day, eventually you're going to realize that you are just an artist.
Wow.
And yeah, and once you realize that, then you will have that confidence. It's almost like you've built up the skill. And then you can basically do whatever you want at that point. I really do believe that. I think like if you have the belief that your work is good and you have that confidence, then there is a big world out there. And there's a lot of room for you out there.
That is really great advice. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mike. Now, going back off of what you just said, you talked about finding that passion and using that passion to fuel you into the next drawing. What about, have you ever, I'm sure our artists have as well, felt a creative rut? Like you didn't know exactly what you wanted to draw next, but you wanted to draw. And if you felt that, what do you do?
I mean, sometimes you give it a day. Okay. I think there are some people who will say, just get back in there and do it, but you can wear yourself out. It might be good to just walk away for a little bit. But understand that because this is what you want to do, and because, if you define yourself as an artist, you will come back to that page again. And maybe you'll have seen something, heard something, experienced something, or pulled something out of your past experience that suddenly makes that drawing click for you. But like, in the moment, maybe you've hit a rut. But, a rut, all that rut means is that up until that point, you were doing great. And the rut is just, it's, jump over it, you'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very solid. Thank you, Mike. Now, in your books, first of all, show of hands, who has the graphic novels? A lot of people, a lot of hands just went up. So, for those of us who already have the graphic novels, are there any Easter eggs in any of your slides or pages that is a secret that you can share with us today?
I don't know that there's any specific Easter eggs. I think I've made a couple of the scavengers look like friends of mine. But that's just for me to enjoy and for them to figure out. They still don't know that they're in there. But for the most part, the things that I try to do, I grew up watching Warner Brothers cartoons, and one of the great things about watching those cartoons is there's always the jokes that are happening in the front, and then there's the jokes that are happening in the background. And so I always try to throw something. I don't try to make a scene that maybe is dramatic. I don't try to make it comedic by having something in the background. But if there's an opportunity for a little goof in the background, I'll throw it in there. And that is always fun. It just keeps me it keeps me on my toes.
That's great. So, last question, and this is a very, very difficult one. You can take as much time as you need. You clearly are very skilled at drawing dragons. What is your favorite thing to draw in general?
Wow, my favorite thing to draw in general. All right. Well, it's funny. It's kind of dragon adjacent. I love drawing monsters. I've always liked drawing monsters because monsters are you have to define a monster. It's literally, it means something different for everybody here. So a monster is a very personal thing to draw. The thing that scares you, the things that worries you, the things that you've seen that you're like, oh no, I don't ever want to see that again, you can take that, put that into your monster, and you almost have control over the thing at that point. And once you start drawing one monster, you end up just drawing a dozen of them. And they all kind of have a different thing. When I was doing Adventure Time, and they gave me a lot of freedom to draw in that comic, I'd be like, all right, I'm drawing a lot of monsters in this thing. And they're all going to look different. They're all going to have weird things about them. It's just a way to kind of kind of bring out the kind of the weirder, maybe darker, silly impulses in your art. And it's good. It's like a breath of fresh air.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, that's all the time we have. Thank you so
Thanks,
much
man.
for joining us. Let's hear it for Mike. Don't go anywhere, because in just a few moments we'll have another guest join us here on stage. Stay put, everybody. We'll see you in just a little bit. Bye, guys.